brownies. This version doesn't have nuts in it. So Emily will just tell you the ingredients. But just while we're talking, the first thing you need to do is put on your oven so it heats up while we're preparing everything.
First, you'll need 180 grams of dark chocolate, then 180 grams of soft butter, and 112 grams of flour, and then 3 eggs, 250 grams of sugar, half a tablespoon of vanilla, and half a tablespoon of salt.
Right.
Half a teaspoon of salt.
Half a teaspoon. Very important. So Emily's going to start mixing. And before she starts mixing, I'm going to take the chocolate, as you see here, and the butter and pop it into a saucepan for melting. So I'll just go and do that. Emily, can you mix the stuff in the bowl?
Which stuff?
The sugar and the eggs and the vanilla.
Should I put the eggs first?
Yeah.
Okay. One.
So I hope you can see. Emily just dropped the egg into the flour, but that's okay because she can put the flour in as well. She doesn't have any choice. That's not really how you're supposed to do it, but you can. It just means that it's a bit more gloopy. Just going to get a spoon.
What should I do now? Sugar?
Yeah, put the sugar in. Here. Yep, it's a lot of sugar. Nigella Lawson doesn't skim on anything.
Can I have a mix?
Here. You should know that neither me nor Emily are expert bakers. We've only recently started doing it, but we've tried it once and it was really yummy. So I'm just going to add half a teaspoon of salt. I don't know why. And I'm going to add half a tablespoon of vanilla. Tablespoon is basically the one for the soup, and the teaspoon is the one that you mix your sugar. So there we are. Here, have that. And that's it. And it's looking a bit gloopy. Emily's just going to stir that in. Meanwhile, I'm going to take you over here to just show you the butter and the chocolate. It takes a while, but once it melts, I don't know if you can see it. Once it melts, it's really, really easy to mix. But before you can mix it in with the other stuff, it's got to be really, really, really cool. So we give it a bit of time to cool down after it's melted. So that looks very gloopy. What we prepared earlier was just a baking tray, like just a little one like that, with some foil paper, and you don't need to put anything down, but you can also use like baking paper. That's great. I'm just going to show you what Emily's done over here. Apparently brownies are a bit difficult to make. Our friend makes them, so we've been making them with her. But this is our very first time to make it on our own, so we're a bit nervous and we hope that it comes out good. But we don't know until we complete making it. You can leave that, Emily, now. I think
you should end up something looking like this.
Oh, I can hear.
So gloopy but lumpy.
If you leave that there. Now, Emily, come over here with the camera. Come over with the camera. And we'll show them what's happening with the chocolate. So basically, it's a lot of butter. Nigella really likes to have really very rich ingredients, but it's worth it because brownies are really a nice thing, nice chocolatey flavour. So we're just leaving it. It doesn't stick to the bottom because of the butter, so you can just leave that to heat up. And once it's fully melted, we leave it on the side for about 10 minutes to cool down. Otherwise it starts to make the eggs cook, so it needs to be quite cold. As you can see, just gonna keep stirring it in order to make sure that it melts evenly. Most of the butter's now melted. A little bit of it is still clumpy, and the chocolate is following suit. And this is really nice because it is one of those recipes that you can, you can lick all the spoons and the bowl. And last time Emily and I had a bit of a fight over the licking at the end, but we did manage to get through it and eat the brownies. The brownies take about 25 minutes, but after you take them out, you need to kind of put like a toothpick or something inside to make sure that it's still not wet inside. We discovered when we made this the first time that our oven isn't really very effective, so we had to leave it in for 30 minutes, not 25. So you need to kind of take it out after 25, test it, and if it's not cooked enough, then leave it in there. But also remember, when it's cooling down, it's still cooking a bit, so you don't want to overcook it. So the best thing is just to pop it out when it's dry and then leave it out to settle down and cool. Some people say to leave it for 24 hours, but we'll be okay to leave it for a couple of hours. All right, well, that's fine. Okay, so now basically we're at the stage where the chocolate's ready and we've mixed all the other ingredients in. So Emily's going to take the chocolate and she's going to mix it in with the other ingredients. As I said, this is Nigella Lawson's brownie recipe, so you can find it online. And she adds walnuts or hazelnuts. We've made it before with nuts, but we decided to try without nuts. Look, there's Emily's going to scrape all that chocolate in, hopefully not plan to eat it. But there will be some spoon licking, I'm sure. And this is the kind of the satisfying bit. The thing is about this recipe is that it's one of those things where you don't need to do anything fancy or fold the pastry, or I mean, it's literally a mix recipe. All you have to do is mix it all together, pop it in the baking tray and leave it for 25 minutes, and then take it out when it's crispy on top and let it cool, and voila, you have brownies. So she's just going to give it a good old mix so that you don't see any of the white, and it really needs to be mixed well. And remember, it's raw eggs, so for now, if I was you, I wouldn't lick it until the warm chocolate sort of cooked the eggs a little bit. But on the other hand, you can just lick that very lovely pan of chocolate without the eggs. So there we are. Emily, is it mixed enough, do you think?
Maybe a bit more.
Okay, so you see it's really, and it has a nice smell. And like I said, you can decide to add nuts or not, it's up to you. So I think that looks ready. So it's time to put it in the pan. So let's just move some stuff here. Pop it in there on the pan. This is quite like an easy recipe, and it doesn't really need a lot of things. Most stuff except for the chocolate we had at home anyway. The chocolate we went out and got in Poundland, and it was just really, really, really dark plain chocolate. It's the only thing, because milk chocolate comes out a little bit too sweet. So now we just scrape everything from the bowl in there, and we're going to pop this tray in the oven. The actual recipe that we followed is for 48 brownies, and all of the ingredients were double in Nigella's recipe book, but 48 brownies is a bit too much. So when you want to make less, we only want to make 24, then what we did was just halve everything. So if, for example, it's like 375 grams of chocolate, we just put 180. So it's really, really easy. If it was 6 eggs, we just put 3 eggs. So it's not difficult for you to do as many as you want to. We're going to pop that in the oven, which we preheated at the beginning of this video. It's really important that it's very hot, because otherwise you don't have a clear indication of what time you've had your cake in the oven. At the end, when it comes out, it's very nice and very easy to cut into, and they recommend putting a bit of icing sugar on the top, like just sprinkled on top for that lovely sort of brownie finish. So there we are. And if Emily wants to now, she can pick up the tray and pop it into the oven. I'm sure, oh God, it's quite messy. Okay, Emily, do you want to make sure that it goes right to the end? Yeah, good. And pop it in the oven there. And we've put it on 180, and we're going to set a timer just a bit lower. I'm going to set a timer now, and we're going to eat chocolate while we wait. There we are. Put a timer on for 30 minutes in our case, and now it's really just about eating the chocolate, which is the fun bit. And we do have quite a lot of chocolate left to lick off the spoon and the bowl, and also the saucepan. So I think we'll probably be too full to have brownies later, and we'll get back to you when the brownies are ready. Okay. Hi, so here's our brownie. It came out, and Emily's just putting the icing sugar on the outside. We don't have one of those like expert icing sugar things, but you can really you try and get it evenly across the whole cake the best that you can. And right, there we are. And then you just cut out your brownies, and that's it. You've got brownies, and you can eat them, cut them as small as you want. I recommend keeping them in a tin or something. There you are. Thank you, Emily. Okay, great.